Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Ronnie, just in case you're stopping by for the first time. In today's video, I'm going to be showing us how to create a basic bodice pattern. So first of all, I'm just going to draw out this line on top of the paper just to save as our shoulder point. So now I'm going to mark out my shoulder to bust point, my shoulder to waist point, and also my shoulder to my hip point. So after marking that out, is just to go ahead and mark the same thing over on the opposite side of the paper so that we can go ahead and then connect those lines together. The next thing is to label the lines. This is my bust line, the waist line, and the hip line. The next thing I'm going to do is to mark out the neck width for the front pattern. So we are going to be marking now 3 by 3 inches, which is the normal standard neckline for normal basic bodies. So I'm just going to connect these lines together. I'm going to be using my free hands to connect this since I don't have a curved ruler. But if you have a curved ruler, please by all means make use of it and just do it carefully if you don't have one. So after that, the next thing you're going to do is to mark out my shoulder measurement. So my shoulder measurement is 15, and now I will divide that by 2. I'm going to place that on my shoulder from the neckline directly to the point that it stops. Then I'm going to measure out 1 inch downwards just to have that shoulder slope. Then we are going to connect that directly to the neckline. The next thing is to find the armhole depth. So we are going to mark out the armhole depth by dividing our bust circumference by 6, and then we'll add 1.5 inch to that. Or another way for you to do this is for you to measure around your armhole and then divide it by 2 and then place it here. So after doing that, we're going to connect that line, that point, to the shoulder slope that we just measured out. So another thing that we're going to do right now is to mark out this point directly outwards. You can draw this line across the paper, but I'm not going to be doing that. I just draw mine outwards like this, and this will now form our chest line. The next thing we are going to be doing is to mark out our nipple to nipple measurement, which is marking out our nipple to nipple measurement, divide it by 2, and then place it on the paper. So mine is 8. I will not divide it by 2. It will now be giving me 4. So I'm going to place that point on my bust point, on the waist point, and also on my hip point. This will serve as the center or the guideline for our dart. So we are just going to go ahead and then connect those points together. So the next thing that we are going to do is to mark out 1 inch downwards from the bust point. This is where our dart is going to start. Then we're going to be marking 2 inch upwards from the hip point. That's where our dart is going to end. Then on the waist point, we're going to mark out half inches towards the both sides, okay, with the line at the center. So we are going to mark out half inch on the two sides on the waistline. Then we are going to go ahead and then connect these 4 dots together, and this is going to form our dart. The next thing is for us to mark out our horizontal measurement. So we are going to divide our bust measurement by 4, and then we are going to place it on the chest line. It's going to still serve as a bust point because it's still going to be connected to the bust point. So we are not going to move down to the waistline. On the waistline, we are still going to divide our waist measurement by 4 and then mark it out on the paper plus 1 inch that we took out for the dart. Then we are also going to divide our hip measurement by 4. So divide our hip measurement by 4 and also mark the point out on the hip point. Then we are going to connect these lines together. The next thing is for us to find the midpoints on the armhole depth. So how we do this is just going to fold your tape together, and this is going to really help just mark out the center of the armhole depth. So that will just make it much easier for you. So at that point now you're going to be marking 3/4 of an inch inwards. All right, so this will not help to serve as the front armhole because this is where the front armhole is going to pass through. So what we're going to do now is to connect the lines from the shoulder slope down to that point. Then we are going to now move ahead and then connect that line to the chest line. So I'm just using my free hand to just connect this out since I don't have the ruler, the curved ruler. So I'm just doing this, and I'm just going to do it carefully. So take your time. If you don't have a ruler like mine, like me, then just do it like that. Then from this other point, we're just going to connect it that way down to that same point. This will now serve as the back armhole. The next thing is for us to find the neckline for the back, and we are going to mark out 1 inch downwards. Then we are going to connect that to the shoulder point. After that, we are going to mark out 1.5 inch or 1 inch, depending on how many inches you want to add as your sewing allowance. So right now I'm just adding 1.5 inch to mine. So that's what I'm adding all round all around this paper right now. On the side seams, on the shoulder seam, I'm going to be adding 1 inch to it. Then on the hip line, then we're just going to go ahead and then connect these lines together, and then we will have to cut it out. And also, while doing this, don't forget to label it the front and also the back part, because what we just finished cutting now is the front part. So don't forget to label it so you will not be confused. So moving on to the back, we're just going to mark out 1.5 inches on this from the edge of the paper inwards. Then we are just going to go ahead and then connect those lines together. This will now serve as our zipper allowance. So in trying to cut out the back pattern piece, we are just going to place the front on the back. Just an easy and simplest way to do this: you place the front on the back piece directly on the line that we just finished drawing. Then you're just going to go ahead and then mark out those points. Just dot out the points on the different spots that we drew the line, so it will be easy for us while cutting it. The next thing is for us to just cut this out. And since the first cutting that we did on the front paper was just meant for the back, so it will be just easy for us to cut. It's just for us to follow the line and then just cut it out, and our back piece is ready. After doing that, we just take out the front piece, and then since we marked out some points from the front part, we're just going to go ahead and then connect those dots together so that we can have our chest line, our waist, and our hip point. So we're just going to go ahead and then label that. So just write this down. This is the back so that we'll not be confused. So right now, this is the zipper point. So just write this out. So on the waistline, we are just going to mark out 1/2 inch inwards from the line that we drew for the zipper allowance. Then from the edge of the paper, we are also going to mark in 1/2 inch. So why we are doing this is because we are trying to remove the bulginess at the back, okay, so that once you insert your zip, it will lie flat on the person's back instead of bringing out that bulginess that we see. So with this, is really going to help. So you're just going to connect those lines directly back to where the lines were. Like, you connect the line on the red line, you're just going to connect it directly to the red line again. So just slant it so that it will not, so it can give you the direct line that you're looking for. Okay, so that is just it. So at this point now, after I must have finished cutting it out, so we can see the curved part on the back. So that is just the essence of that particular tip. Is really going to help while sewing. So right now, I just noticed that we made a mistake on the chest line. So this is now the chest line. This other line was the bust line, but since this is a back piece, we don't need a bust line. So just going to go ahead and then cancel that out. So the next thing we are going to be doing is to place our darts on the bag. So we're just going to transfer our nipple to nipple measurement, divide it by 2, and then place it here on the back point. Then we are just going to go ahead and then connect those lines together. Then just like how we did the front part, on the chest line, we are going to be coming down by 1 inch. Sorry, by 1/2 inch. Remember, on the front, we came down by 1 inch. So on the hip line, we are still going to be coming up by 2 inches. Then on the waistline, we are going to be marking out our 1/2 inch on either side. Then we are going to connect those 4 points together. This will now form our dart for the back piece. So for the front part, don't forget that we are supposed to be cutting this on fold. So what I'm doing now, I'm just writing this as an indication so that I will not forget while cutting this, because it's very easy for us to forget while cutting this. So now the next thing is for us to just go ahead now and then cut out the main piece for the front. So we're just going to cut out those parts. Remember, the first one that we cut was for the back. So right now we are cutting out the piece for the front. So this is now the front, the full front piece. And with that, we have completed our basic bodice. So this is it, guys. If you guys enjoyed this tutorial, let me know in the comment section. Leave me your questions in the comment section, and also whatever it is that you feel about the tutorial. And also subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed yet. I will see you guys on my next one. Bye, guys.